Hi there everyone, my name is Zach and welcome to my channel. Amongst other things, I'm a reenactor and a jouster, and today I'm going to take you through something that I've been doing over the past few weeks. I've been refurbishing my gauntlets. So here we go. Here's what they look like at the beginning of the process. These have been jousted in for about 10 years, I think, and you can see the right one has gone a bit out of shape. It's taken a lot of hits. Here's an example from the recent Leeds castle, and so it's not working particularly well. I cut out the old gloves, which are just gardening gloves dyed black, and they have fingers, scale fingers on them, which go halfway up the knuckle, so sometimes they gap. These are the new gloves that I'm going to be putting in. They're bifurcated mittens, so they're mittens that just have two parts to them, and instead of scales I'm going to be adding mail to them. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is adding a strap around the wrist. So there's one at the end of the cuff, but you can see here I want one on that middle articulation plate to hold them closer into the hand. They kind of flop about quite a bit, so this is a test. Hopefully this isn't going to interfere with the articulation on it too much. So here I'm just using a normal hand drill, and I've got a sacrificial piece of wood underneath to drill through into, and I'm using a diamond tipped bit because I think these are just mild steel, but yeah, it needs some encouragement to go through. Now I'm taking a grinding piece on my Lidl's middle aisle Dremel, and I'm going to just tidy up the outside there with that grinding piece. Going slow, you don't need to go too fast on this. Using the end of it to add a little bit of countersink in there for when I'm peening the rivet over, just to keep it a little bit flush. They don't actually end up too flush. I might end up making them flatter in the future, but they work okay now. Here we go. Here's a close-up of what I've done there. Just got rid of any of the sharp bits and made it a little bit tidier. So now I'm cutting some straps there. I'm using a metal ruler and some leather that I had lying around. If I was doing this again, I would probably buy some slightly thicker leather than this. These straps aren't really weight, they're not really weight bearing, but if I get hit, I'm not sure if they will stand up to repeated hits. They're just basically there to hold it in place. Hopefully it will do well enough, but we'll wait and see. There we go. Cutting on some off-cut wood, lots of small cuts. You don't want to press too hard, because if you make a mistake and the knife slips, then you've ruined the leather. So nice, lots of little cuts help it to go through. And just a rough measurement there against the buckle that I'm going to be using. Now these buckles are they're again just some that I had lying around, so the leather needs to fit them rather than buying them specifically for this this project. That's often how I work, just buying nice things when I see them, and then making choosing the right ones for the project. If I was doing this specifically and new and buying buckles for it, then I would probably choose steel buckles, or possibly just brass buckles with a steel tongue. I've already dyed these straps black and left them to dry for a while. So now I've got a roofing nail, and I'm going to clip it off. These are some ratcheted snips, is that what they're called? they're basically stronger snips, which is useful for me because I don't do this regularly. My cutting metal with my hands strength isn't as strong as quite a few armourers that I know. Now you would anneal these, I think that's what it's called, where you heat them to make peening easier, but I don't have anything that I can heat it with outside, and I don't want to do it in my oven because I think these are zinc coated and I don't want zinc fumes permeating my oven. I think that's something that is a bad idea, probably. There we go, you can see peened it over to make it as flat as I can. The light in the shed doesn't actually flicker as far as the eye can tell. It just looks like that on camera. Not sure why that is. If you know, you could leave a comment. So I'm just checking the fit now. There's the mitten. Trying it out with the gauntlet. It takes a while to get this sorted, and I'm not always in the center of the frame. So I'm just checking there. Yeah, that seems to work. That seems to be in the right place. Great. Good. Love it. So I sewed on the male pads. I got the male from Kappa Pi and cut it down to size. These are 6mm riveted rings, and they work really well to go around. They're a little bit loose. They're not too loose, but they're loose enough to give movement so that they can curl round when you close your fist. I've sewn them on with waxed linen thread and obviously left the palm of the hand free, so that's just a nice thin leather. The leather gloves came from I think Laura Factor. I might be wrong. I'll add a link in the description below to where I got the leather gloves from as well. So I've sewn those on all around the outside. I didn't get any video of me doing that bit of sewing because I sat on the sofa and sewed it in my pajamas while watching Spider-Man. But here's some sewing that I did get some footage of. I'm sewing the buckle onto the wrist strap, using an awl there to punch the holes there before I actually sew the leather round. Now, I think in most cases you would probably have a metal plate to hold a buckle on. That's generally what happens, but I didn't have a metal plate to hold this buckle on, so this is me doing it with what I have. It's hard to say though whether that's the case, because you're obviously going to find buckle plates a lot more than you're going to find evidence of linen thread, which will have rotted away by now. So the ones that survive complete are the ones with the buckle plates. Here we go. Here are the finished examples. The male underneath, I've sewn the gauntlets to the gloves as well, so I couldn't do that at the wrist because then I wouldn't be able to get my hands through. These gauntlets were originally made for me by my friend Jon Terris, and you can see his maker's mark in a few of the shots. I've been really pleased with how they've worked over the years. Just a few modifications now to get them working well again and working well for me. You're always going to be messing around with your armour to try and get it to work right. Even if something is made specifically for you, you're going to need to make some changes over time. Right, well, there we go. They're both done now. Now, you might have noticed from the intro I had one of them finished before finishing off the other one. I kind of wanted to test it out on the left-hand gauntlet to make sure that it was
it would all work okay. The right hand gauntlet does feel a bit different. It gaps slightly differently. I've had to reshape the knuckle piece and it's not quite the same, but also it might be down to the straps across the palm of the hand. I think the one on the right gauntlet is slightly looser. So I don't know whether it was always looser or whether it's stretched out through use. This being my more active hand, I really don't know. But we'll see. It might work better to actually just cut it into a tab and have that tab sewn directly to the mitten. But what do you think? I like them. I think they work better than they ever have before. Having that wrist strap is really, really important. But the real test is going to be obviously actually going out and using them. So in July I will be fighting or taking part in Tewkesbury medieval battle on foot. I'm not on horse for that one. I'm going to be part of Richard of Gloucester's retinue for that. So that will be the first time these have been used in their new configuration, and we'll see how they work out. Then also in August I will be at Bosworth battlefield, and that will be riding. So I'll see if I can have some opportunities to ride in them beforehand, because using these mittens I think is going to change the way that I ride. It's going to have to, obviously, because I don't have 4 fingers anymore. I've only got 2 on each hand. But actually the previous gardening gloves that I had didn't really give me great manipulation of the reins either, so I don't know that these will be too much of a problem with that. Well guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed making it. If this is something that you like, please do like, share and subscribe, and leave me a comment to let me know what you want me to do next. I've got a bunch of different projects that I'm doing, and you can find more information on those and some work in progress on them over on Patreon. Everything that's on Patreon will end up in the channel at some point in the future, but if you want to support me, if you're able to do that through that, that would be great. That's not for everyone, so I really, really just do appreciate all of the shares, the subscribes, the likes, all of that sort of thing, which helps to grow the channel so much. Thank you very much guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.